Distance yourself from the distractions. Life is loud, and the world is even louder. Everywhere you go, something is pulling at your attention. Something is fighting for the energy you should be giving to your future. Distractions don't always look like problems. Sometimes they look like entertainment, comfort, habits, and people you've known forever. They look harmless, even enjoyable, until you realize they've been stealing years of your potential 1 minute at a time. You don't lose your dreams in an explosion. You lose them in tiny, quiet moments of distraction. That's why if you want to build something powerful, if you want to become someone unstoppable, if you want to elevate yourself to a level where success becomes your new normal, you have to learn to create distance between you and everything that drains your focus. Most people never achieve what they're capable of, not because they lack talent or intelligence or opportunity, but because they let distractions shape their days. They let their phone dictate their mood, their friends dictate their pace, their impulses dictate their choices. They get pulled into meaningless conversations, pointless drama, endless scrolling, temporary pleasures that do nothing but weaken their discipline. And then they wonder why their life feels stagnant. Distractions are the enemy of progress, and if you don't recognize that, you'll keep losing battles you don't even realize you're fighting. The truth is simple. You can't build greatness in a noisy environment. Your goals are not loud enough to compete with the constant chatter of the world. You have to silence the world so you can hear yourself again. You have to step back from anything that keeps you from stepping forward. Every time you choose a distraction over your purpose, you are choosing temporary dopamine over long-term transformation. And while it feels harmless in the moment, those little choices shape everything. Your mindset, your habits, your self-respect, your future. You cannot live a focused life with a distracted mind. There comes a moment in your journey where you must ask yourself one painful but necessary question. Do I want comfort or do I want growth? Because you cannot have both. Growth requires separation. Separation from old habits, from negative people, from environments that keep you the same, from devices and apps designed to keep you addicted, from routines that rob you of your ambition. Separation feels lonely at first, but it's in that loneliness that you finally hear your own voice. It's in that quiet that you begin to see what you've been avoiding. It's in that isolation that you find the discipline most people never develop. You have to distance yourself from distractions because distractions are not passive. They are aggressive. They fight for your attention, they seduce your mind, they tempt you with things that feel good now but cost you everything later. You think you're choosing to check your phone for a minute, but that minute becomes an hour. You think you're choosing to hang around people with no ambition just for fun, but their mindset starts to bleed into yours. You think you're choosing to relax after a long day, but that relaxation becomes avoidance, and that avoidance becomes patterns, and those patterns become your identity. You don't break free by accident. You break free by distancing yourself from the things that keep you trapped. If you want to upgrade your life, you have to upgrade your environment. You have to protect your peace, your energy, your time like your future depends on it, because it does. You cannot be accessible to everyone and still expect to build something extraordinary. You cannot say yes to distractions and still expect to grow. You cannot consume garbage and expect to produce greatness. The world is full of noise, but you don't have to let the noise inside you. When you distance yourself from distractions, you create space for clarity. You create space for purpose. You create space for discipline. You create space for the highest version of yourself to finally breathe. People will judge your silence, your withdrawals, your boundaries, your focus. They will say you've changed, and you should take that as a compliment. They will think you're rude because you stopped responding to things that don't matter. They will think you're distant because you stopped entertaining nonsense. They will think you're cold because you chose your future over their comfort. Let them think whatever they want. The noise of others is just another distraction you don't owe your attention to. Anyone who gets offended by your growth was benefiting from your stagnation. This journey requires a level of selfishness people won't understand. You have to prioritize your goals over gossip, your vision over entertainment, your discipline over your impulses, your peace over their drama. You have to decide that your future deserves more focus than your distractions deserve access. Every minute you give to a distraction is a minute stolen from your dreams. When you realize that, it becomes easier to say no. It becomes easier to pull away. It becomes easier to choose purpose over pleasure. Distance is not avoidance. Distance is strategy. Distance is strength. Distance is choosing to protect what you're building because you understand how fragile progress can be in the wrong environment. When you distance yourself from distractions, you're not running away, you're moving forward. You're creating the space necessary for transformation. You're choosing discipline in a world addicted to chaos. You're choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term satisfaction. You're choosing yourself. And that choice is rare. That choice is powerful. That choice is the reason some people break through while others stay stuck. You cannot be unstoppable if you're constantly interrupted. You cannot build momentum if you're constantly pulled off your path. You cannot become the person you want to be if you keep feeding the habits that are killing your potential. Distance is not optional. It is mandatory. And when you finally create that distance, you will discover a version of yourself you've never met before. A focused you, a disciplined you, a powerful you, a you that does not get shaken by noise because the noise no longer has access to you. That is the version of you that achieves the impossible. That is the version of you that transforms your life. That is the version of you that the distractions were trying to hide. This is the beginning. There comes a moment in your life when you realize that the world is not removing distractions for you. It is not clearing your path. It is not organizing your environment, and it is not silencing the noise. The world will never quiet itself just because you want to focus. If anything, the world gets louder the moment you decide to elevate. Distractions multiply the second you commit to change. That is why waiting for a perfect environment is the slowest trap people fall into. There is no perfect environment. There is only the environment you choose to tolerate and the focus you choose to protect. And if you don't learn to protect your focus, the world will steal it from you every single day. Most people underestimate the cost of distractions. They think a few minutes of scrolling doesn't matter. They think one more episode isn't going to hurt. They think going out when they should be building their future is harmless. But distractions don't take something from you instantly. They drain you gradually. They take your attention inch by inch. They erode your discipline silently. They weaken your drive over time. You don't notice the damage until one day you wake up and realize you've gone nowhere. Your goals are still goals. Your dreams are still dreams. Your plans are still plans. Meanwhile, time that could have built something extraordinary, has slipped away. The harsh reality is that you cannot expect extraordinary results with a distracted mind. You cannot chase greatness while entertaining every notification. You cannot build the life you want while feeding habits that keep you average. Distractions numb your potential. They anesthetize your ambition. They make you comfortable with mediocrity because they keep you too busy to feel the pain of staying the same. And that is exactly why you must distance yourself from them. Not casually, not occasionally, but deliberately and aggressively. A person who is serious about their future treats distractions like enemies. They don't negotiate with them. They don't entertain them. They don't keep them close. They cut them off before they cut off their progress. If you want to elevate your life, you need to learn the art of disappearing. Not from the world entirely, but from the noise, from the temptations, from the conversations that drain your focus, from the pointless cycles that swallow your potential. There is a version of you that can only be unlocked in solitude, in discipline, in deep focus. And that version of you will never appear as long as you let distractions dictate your days. Think about it. How can you expect to discover your strength if you're constantly running from silence? How can you expect to master your craft if you're constantly entertaining pointless stimuli? How can you expect to win when you're giving your attention to things that do not matter? People want success without sacrifice. They want transformation without discipline. They want growth without eliminating what is holding them back. But you cannot add greatness on top of distraction. You cannot stack ambition on top of clutter. You cannot build momentum on top of wasted time. Something has to go. Something has to be removed. Something has to be replaced. And most of the time, what needs to go is not people, not opportunities, not circumstances. It's your distractions. Distance yourself from the things that steal your fire. Distance yourself from the habits that weaken your edge. Distance yourself from the environments that keep you unfocused and unmotivated. Distance yourself from the comfort that kills your urgency. You have dreams that require your full attention, not your leftover attention. You have goals that require your commitment, not your convenience. You have a future that requires your discipline, not your excuses. Every minute you spend on distractions is a minute stolen from the life you actually want. There will be moments when distancing yourself feels lonely. Good. That loneliness is the entrance fee to greatness. There will be moments when you feel like you're missing out. Good. That sacrifice is the doorway to your breakthrough. There will be moments when people don't understand what you're doing. Good. They aren't supposed to understand a vision that wasn't given to them. You can't live a legendary life while living like everyone else. You can't rise while drowning in the same noise that keeps everyone stuck. Your focus is your superpower, and the world is constantly trying to steal it. Your phone, the opinions of others, the meaningless drama, the comfortable habits, the distractions disguised as entertainment, the people who can't see beyond their own limitations. To build the life you want, you have to guard your focus like it's oxygen, because in a world drenched in distraction, focus is the new wealth. The people who learn to control it are the ones who rise. The people who lose it are the ones who settle. You must decide what you want more, the temporary dopamine hit of distractions or the long-term fulfillment of discipline. The fleeting comfort of wasting time or the lasting satisfaction of building something real. The instant pleasure of doing what's easy or the long-term power of doing what's necessary. That decision shapes your entire future, and that decision is one you must make every single day. This is the truth people don't want to hear. Success isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. Success isn't about talent. Talent without discipline is useless. Success isn't even about opportunity. Opportunities mean nothing if you're distracted and unprepared. Success is about consistency. It's about focus. It's about being willing to do the work when everyone else is distracted by everything that doesn't matter. It's about saying no to the world so you can say yes to your future. Distance yourself from distractions, not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to choose what matters. Strong enough to reject the noise. Strong enough to commit to your vision. Strong enough to protect your potential. Your future self is waiting for you to make that decision. Your life changes the moment you stop letting distractions control you, and that moment can be right now. You have no idea how much of your potential is being suffocated by the noise around you. And it's not always obvious noise. Sometimes it's disguised as comfort, entertainment, habits you've normalized, people you've outgrown, routines that drain you, and environments that keep you thinking small. Distractions don't always look harmful. Some of them look like relaxation, like harmless fun, like a break you think you deserve. But those tiny detours, those hours you casually throw away, those moments you keep giving to things that don't matter, they add up. They accumulate quietly until one day you wake up realizing you've drifted miles away from the person you wanted to become. Distance is not punishment. Distance is protection. When you choose to distance yourself from distractions, you're not isolating yourself. You're elevating yourself. You're choosing a version of you that's sharper, more disciplined, more focused, more intentional. Distractions will always fight for your attention because the moment you finally lock in, everything changes. Your environment knows your potential even before you do. That's why distractions come dressed as comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition, and the world is full of comfortable people who wonder why they never grow. You need to step back from anything that keeps you stagnant. The truth is, not everything around you is aligned with who you want to become. Some of the people in your life want you to stay exactly where you are because your growth would expose their lack of effort. Some of the habits you love are destroying your discipline. Some of the routines you cling to are slowly rotting your potential. You cannot become a focused, disciplined, unstoppable version of yourself while holding on to distractions that keep you average. Distance gives you clarity. When you step away from noise, you finally hear your own thoughts. When you step away from people who drain you, you finally regain your energy. When you step away from environments that keep you stuck, you finally see what's possible. Your life gets louder when you get quieter. Your purpose becomes clearer when you stop feeding your attention to things that don't deserve it. The distractions you think you can handle are actually the ones controlling you, because anything you must constantly resist already owns too much of your mind. You know exactly what distracts you. You know the apps that consume your hours. You know the habits that waste your time. You know the people who drain your focus. You know the temptations that steal your energy. And the hard truth is, you could eliminate them, but you don't. Because part of you is still attached to the version of yourself that chooses comfort over growth. That part of you must die if you want to evolve. You can't have a disciplined life and a distracted mind. You can't have a powerful identity while feeding weak habits. You can't build momentum while stopping every 5 minutes to indulge in impulses. You can't create your dream life while constantly entertaining things that take you further away from it. Discipline and distraction cannot coexist. One will always dominate, and whichever one wins becomes the architect of your life. Distance requires courage. It takes strength to say no to what feels good now for what will feel incredible later. It takes discipline to break patterns that have controlled you for years. It takes honesty to admit what's been sabotaging you. It takes maturity to walk away from people you love but who limit you. But nothing great is built without sacrifice, and the biggest sacrifices often come disguised as small daily choices. Those choices become your lifestyle. Your lifestyle becomes your identity. Your identity becomes your destiny. Distance creates separation. Separation creates elevation. Elevation creates transformation. And transformation is exactly what you've been craving. But transformation doesn't happen in crowded spaces. It doesn't happen when your energy is split in 20 different directions. It doesn't happen when you're constantly overstimulated, overwhelmed, distracted, and drained. The future you're chasing requires focus, laser focus, ruthless focus. And you cannot possess that kind of focus while living inside a whirlwind of distractions. When you distance yourself from distractions, the world will try to pull you back. People will call you different. They will call you distant. Some will call you selfish, but the truth is, you're just committed. You're just focused. You're just serious about becoming someone the old version of you could never compete with. Your commitment will intimidate people who have none. Your discipline will expose people who gave up on themselves. Your ambition will trigger people who settled. Let them talk. None of them are responsible for your future. You are. Think about how much further you'd be if you protected your time the way you protect your comfort. Think about how much stronger you'd be if you fed your discipline instead of your distractions. Think about how much clearer your mind would be if you weren't drowning in noise every day. Think about the goals you've postponed, the dreams you've delayed, the progress you should have already made. None of that is because of lack of potential. It's because of lack of focus. You owe it to yourself to take your life seriously. You owe it to yourself to create distance between you and the things that don't serve your future. You owe it to yourself to protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. The world wants your attention, but your purpose wants your discipline, and only one of them deserves to win. You have one life, one shot, one chance to build something meaningful, and time doesn't care if you're distracted. Time doesn't slow down because you're unmotivated. Time doesn't pause while you figure out your habits. Time moves whether you move with it or not. The world won't stop for you. The distractions won't stop chasing you. The only thing that can change is you. Distance yourself. Create space for greatness. Your best self is waiting on the other side of everything you keep choosing instead of your future.